Would it be all right if I started the way I start my classes? Yes, no? Okay. All right, this is the way I start classes. Okay, we have to say good afternoon together. We have to spell it out. Okay, so it's GOODAFTERN we say good afternoon. Good afternoon. Together. GOODAFTERN we say good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, that's good. See a little bit of energy for me this flow. My name once again is Sharai Erima. Hello.
Hello, hello.
I don't have time to meet each of you and each of your names, but what I can say for sure is that we all got here to the same place, but not necessarily the same way. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
All right. Well, that's what I want to look into today. Thank you for giving me some of your lunch time. That's what's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, see, that's big. I know that's big. Because I know for me, when it's time to eat, I don't want to be bothered, so I definitely thank you for that. What I hope to do is give you something that you can talk about during other lunch times. One of the things that I saw, there's a lot of wisdom on the walls of cubicles. And one cubicle that I walked past, they had a little piece of paper on it. It said that people of high intelligence talk about ideas. People of medium intelligence talk about things. And people of low intelligence talk about people. So, I know that I have inhabited each of those three at one point in time, so I will admit to that. But what I would like to do is try to add something so that we could have more elevated conversations during lunchtime as well. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. What I'm going to be talking about is in keeping with your theme about black migrations. In particular, I'm going to be talking about the political impacts, because that's really my point of view, that's my focus. I teach American government at CUNY, and most of my work has been with community development work. And a lot of my interest is with where people live, housing, and political participation. So putting all of that together, I am looking at the scene of the crime. As this is Black History Month, we are ending Black History Month. One of the things I like to always remember is that history is always occurring. So that little chant that I did with good afternoon, that's history. The sentence I just said is history. So we here together, we're part of your organization's events. This is a part of Black history as well. And I would like to stress the interconnectedness that we have as a theme. So using this blood spatter analysis thing, we on one hand think of it as, you know, you're walking into a situation, there are some signs there, some symbols, some clues, and it can give us a sense as to how we got to the point where we are. What I hope to do is to talk about these things in a clear enough way that you can get a full perspective, but not too bogged down in details. That being said, if I say anything that is unfortunately confusing, or if you want to challenge me on something or ask for more information on something, then I'll be glad to make that adjustment. But I will also have some time for questions and answers at the end. Okay? Yes? Yes? Okay. I'm used to working in the classroom where it's very interactive, so you'll have to forgive me if I keep saying, all right. Okay? But I just have to make sure they're awake. All right, so let's go ahead and move to the first slide. Let's start this story with my own story. Full disclosure, this is not me, this is my son. But,
that was you.
you know, when I was thinking about this particular story, he just happened to be dressed the way he is there. I was like, oh, that's perfect, let me just take a picture of you and use that. The thing that he's wearing around his neck, does anybody recognize that symbol? Okay, see that? I'm gonna. So, when I was in high school, a long time ago, the black consciousness became a very hip thing. You know, it was cool to pretend you were smart. People wear glasses that weren't prescription, right? People who've been to prison would never say they went to prison. They would wear college clothes, pretend they went to college. Now it's kind of flipped. People try to pretend that they aren't as resourced as they are. But at that time, it was a big deal to show off your cultural awareness, your intellect, your understanding. And at the time, I was in high school. The high school I went to was in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Anybody from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn in the house? Woo-woo? No.
Brooklyn.
I'm shocked. Not Bay Ridge?
Not Bay Ridge.
All right, well, suffice it to say, neither was I. It was my first venture to Bay Ridge as well. For those of you who are not familiar with it, think Donald Trump and his people. Those are the kids I went to school with.
Yeah.
When I saw them, I had to check the names on some of them. Like Anthony Scaramucci, that's like, it sounded like a person that would be in my school. It was mostly Italian, and then Greek and Irish, but overwhelmingly Italian. And it was also all boys. So you can imagine it was a kind of an aggressive, sort of a boys battling for dominance sort of a place. And I got a quick lesson on who I was culturally, according to them. At that point, I had really thought of myself as a person from the Caribbean, from the West Indies. Prior to going there, the schools that I'd gone to were almost all black, almost all from the Caribbean, and that was really my understanding of things. But then they would tell me, no, what you like is watermelon and fried chicken. And I said, yeah, that's good, I love watermelon fried. Who doesn't like watermelon fried chicken? It's delicious. You know, it was a while before I really figured out why it was they were saying those different things. And then it wasn't until senior year, I was in a biology lab, and I was wearing that. And one of the kids said, what is that, a ravioli around your neck? Because I was kind of puffed up like that. I told him that it was the flag of Trinidad. And he asked where it is, and told him it's in the Caribbean. His response, oh, you're not black. Oh, all this time. You know? That was striking. You know? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And it was only made more real because during my time in high school, one of my reactions to my gambit that I had to run through was to start having a coalition with other black students. And one of the black students that I approached was on the basketball court and asked him about getting involved in this organization. We would call it the Black Heritage Alliance. It's for people of African descent. He said, well, I'm not African. I said, you're not African? He said he's from Jamaica. I said, well, where do you think the Jamaican people came from? He said, oh, that's looking too far back. Which always stood in my mind as like, oh, what kind of ridiculous, how does he even come to this point of thinking this way? Until about 2 months ago, I had almost the exact same conversation with this guy. That's right. I said, what have you done, Sharai? What have you done? What happened? Growing up in the age of Obama, I thought things were different. They're not. So, you know, it takes some getting used to. That being said, some of the things that I'm going to say might strike some of you as elementary, like, yeah, I know. Some of you might hear some things and think that that's new to you. And you may switch in and out of that role. But that's fine. So let's see how we go. If I can move to the next slide, please. The big lesson that I got from both the conversation with my son, the guy in lab, even afterwards when I was in college, is that we as black people are perhaps the most diverse. Largely, unfortunately, because being defined as black with the one drop rule, it becomes very all encompassing.